Fundamentals of the short game. This is inclusive of chipping, pitching, and bunker play. The pitch shot is probably the most important of these three. If you could hit a pitch shot, you can also hit a chip shot, as it's just a shorter version of that. We'll also touch on bunker play as well. Now, working on your short game, probably the easiest way to lower your handicap. Everyone misses greens, even tour pros. The average tour pro only hits 11 greens, and the best player on tour only hits 14 greens on average a round. So everyone misses greens. It's important to be able to be confident and understand the fundamentals that you need around the greens to be able to get up and down on a par 4 to save a par, or try to get up and down on a par 5 to gain some momentum throughout your round. So the big fundamental here is understanding how to use the bounce of the club. Now, you may have heard about the bounce, but what is it? Well, this is the bottom flange of a wedge. You may notice that it looks a lot different than your other irons. It's much wider and it has a curve. And really the idea is if we can use this back part of the club, not this front leading edge, it's going to give us a huge margin of error. Think about a stone skipping across the river. Maybe you did that when you were younger. That's what this is designed to do. If we're able to use this properly, we're able to skim that bounce across the ground. And once you feel that and understand how to use it, these shots will become extremely easy. There's a much bigger margin of error with these types of shots than there are with hitting a 7-iron at the middle of the fairway, because they've designed it that way to use this backside of the club. So how do we use the backside of the club? Let's talk about the fundamentals of the pitch shot first, as it's probably the most important. So when we think about how to set our feet, a lot of people I see and work with get their feet too far apart. So we want our feet about a club head width apart. We want to flare our left foot out to the left and back lightly. We want to put our pressure on the left side and keep our shoulders fairly level. Big issue I see, a lot of people get tilted too far to the right, and then you start bottoming out behind it, or you start hitting it thin. So it's gonna feel a little awkward at first. You can even tilt a little down your left side before you grip the club, but pressure in our left side, feet not too far apart, shoulders level. Now, the most important part is this club face. Now we have to expose the bounce, and how do we do that? Well, we need to open the face. So before we grip it, I want you to spin the face slightly open. You don't wanna grip it and then open the face. We wanna spin it open and then grip it. So when we're here, weight left, shoulders level, face slightly open on the pitch shot. And then from here, we're gonna keep that face open as we go back, as you can see from down the line. See how that toe is pointing to the sky? In a normal swing, it would be a little bit more toe down, but we want it face to the sky. And then from here, we want to feel like the club is just falling, and then our body supports it on the way through. And we're able to use that bottom side of the club. And like I said, you have a huge margin of error here. You can actually hit 1, sometimes even 2 inches behind the ball if you're exposing the bounce correctly. I'd even encourage you to go out there and try to hit behind the ball, and you'll see how it just bounces right on through. Now, it will depend upon the firmness of the grass. If it's really wet or really grainy, you're not gonna be able to do that. But if it's pretty firm and it's bent grass, you can hit well behind the ball with proper technique and be totally fine. Next, let's talk about bunker play. A lot of amateurs really struggle with this, and the reason is it's the only shot in golf where you don't actually hit the ball. You're hitting a bed of sand, and the ball is just traveling on the bed of sand going forward. So once you understand that, makes it much easier, but the fundamentals in the bunker are a little bit different. So as opposed to staying narrow with our feet, we want to get really wide with our feet. We want to get low, want to sit low, almost like we're sitting in a chair. Flare our feet out. Ball position just inside this left heel, and really want to get this face open. Really spin that face open, stay low, and then as we work back, we want to work the face even more open, so really toe up. And this is all upper body. Our lower body's not doing much at all. It's almost like we're staying seated on that grab, on that chair. We're working it up, and then we're just throwing that bottom edge of the club at the ball. We want to land the club about 1 inch to 2 inches behind the ball. Now, you could even go further behind the ball, depending on the firmness of the sand. If the sand is really soft, you're going to have to hit a little bit closer to the ball. If it's firm, you can hit a little bit more behind it. But give that a try. I think those fundamentals will really, really help your short game.